Ethiopia's Sovereign Wealth Fund. Ladies and gentlemen, this panel is truly historic. Ethiopia's newly established Sovereign Wealth Fund marks a bold new chapter in our economic journey, a sophisticated mechanism designed to attract and steward long-term, large-scale global capital. It will de-risk strategic projects, provide stability and scale, and forge powerful partnerships with international investors. For everyone in this room, this is the moment where vision meets execution and where Ethiopia's most transformative investments will be catalyzed. Now, to deliver a very powerful opening presentation and to set a strategic foundation for this discussion, it is a great honor to welcome our distinguished presenter who needs no introduction, but kindly allow my colleague to give him a brief bio before he proceeds with his presentation.
Absolutely. The dignitary that I'm going to introduce briefly doesn't need much introduction. But by way of formality, I would love to take a moment to introduce His Excellency Dr. Brook Taye, who is Chief Executive Officer of the Ethiopian Investment Holdings, EIH, the country's sovereign wealth fund that serves the government's of Ethiopia's strategic investment arm. Prior to this role, Dr. Brook served as Director General of the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority and also the Senior Advisor of the Ministry of Finance. He brings extensive international experience, having worked in the United States as an investment fund manager, an economist, and a legal analyst. Dr. Brook holds a PhD from Université Paris-Saclay, a master's degree in law and economics from the
We meet at a defining moment in Ethiopia's economic journey, one where reform is no longer a promise, but a reality, delivering measurable results across sectors. For many years, Ethiopia was described as a country of untapped potential. Today, that narrative is changing. Ethiopia is increasingly becoming a country of realized opportunities that is grounded in policy reform, sectoral transformation, and a disciplined government and a disciplined execution of our program. In agriculture, which remains the backbone of our economy, the shift has been both strategic and decisive. We have moved away from an expansion-driven growth toward productivity, efficiency, and food security. The most notable milestone in Ethiopia's achievement of wheat self-sufficiency. Production has reached 29 million tons, positioning the country as the largest producer of wheat in Africa and eliminating nearly $1 billion in annual imports. This might sound an exaggeration. My former boss is here. My job at Ministry of Finance was doing this procurement with other colleagues. This is no longer. Ethiopia does not buy wheat any longer. This is a reality that this government has achieved. At the same time, structural interventions such as farmer clustering, which now covers over 9 million farmers, is delivering tangible improvements in productivity and income. This transformation in agriculture is not only about food security, it's about creating a stable foundation for industrialization, export, and investment. If agriculture lays the foundation, mining is emerging as a powerful new pillar of Ethiopia's new growth venture. For decades, this sector remained largely untapped. Today, it's being systematically unlocked through regulatory reform, improved incentives, and formalization of production. The results are significant. Gold production has surged to nearly 39 tons, generating $3.5 billion in export revenue and accounting for close to half of Ethiopia's total export last year. This year, in the past 8 months, Ethiopia has already exported $3.5 billion worth of gold already. At the same time, Ethiopia has achieved self-sufficiency in cement production and fully replaced coal imports with domestic supply. These outcomes reflect more than just sectoral growth. They signal a structural shift towards resource-based industrialization and export diversification. Equally important, ladies and gentlemen, is Ethiopia's evolving approach to industrialization and investment. We have moved beyond a narrow model of industrialization that has failed to achieve its goal to a more integrated, diversified ecosystem anchored in special economic zones. These zones are no longer limited to manufacturing alone. They now incorporate logistics, trade, services, and are attracting investment in higher value sectors such as agro-processing, electronics, and green industries. The number of investors has increased from just 36 in 2018 now to over 200 today, with domestic investors now representing the majority. This is a clear shift toward a more inclusive and resilient industrial base, one that is better connected to local economy and more attractive to long-term investment. No transformation, however, of this scale is possible without a strong financial sector. Over the past several years, Ethiopia has undertaken deep reforms to restore market discipline, unlock liquidity, and permit the market to redirect capital toward the productive sectors. The results are evident. Deposits in the banking system have expanded significantly. The Commercial Bank of Ethiopia alone growing its deposit base fourfold to 2 trillion birr. More importantly, over 90% of new lending is now directed toward the private sector, making a decisive shift from a state-directed financing to market-driven allocation of capital. At the same time, structural reforms, including the establishment of the interbank money market, the securities exchange, and laying the foundation of a modern financial ecosystem, all underway. In parallel, the telecom sector has undergone a remarkable transformation. From a system not too long ago with a limited access and minimal digital services, Ethiopia has rapidly expanded connectivity with nearly 88 million subscribers and a coverage reaching almost the entire population. But the real transformation lies beyond connectivity. digital and financial services have reshaped economic landscape. With over 58 million users and trillions of birr in transaction, mobile money platforms are driving financial inclusion, enabling entrepreneurship, and opening new frontiers for investment. This convergence of telecom and finance is creating one of the most dynamic ecosystems of the continent. No modern economy can thrive without vibrant and functional cities. Recognizing this, Ethiopia, the government of Ethiopia, this our lovely city, Addis Ababa, has placed urban transformation at the center of this development agenda. Our cities have undergone a significant renewal through investment in infrastructure, housing, public spaces, and connectivity. This is not only improving the quality of life of citizens, it's also enhancing the city's competitiveness as a destination of business, tourism, and investment. Urban transformation, in this sense, is an economic strategy, and that supports productivity, attracts talent, and enables growth across various sectors. When you look at these areas, agriculture, mining, industry, finance, telecom, urban development, a clear path emerges. You can connect the dots. Ethiopia is shifting toward a model of growth that is more diversified, more productive, and more sustainable. Importantly, this transformation is being achieved with a very strong fiscal discipline and a clear commitment to macro stability. This brings me to the role of my institution, Ethiopian Investment Holdings. As Ethiopia's sovereign wealth fund, EIH, Ethiopian Investment Holdings, is designed to be more than a passive holders of asset. We are a strategic investment of transformation anchored in three clear priorities: diversify, drive, and deliver. We diversify by reshaping Ethiopia's economic base, expanding into high-impact sectors, unlocking new value chains, and reducing over-reliance on traditional sources of growth. Our focus is to build a broader, more resilient, and investment-ready economy. We drive by transforming the performance of state-owned enterprises and structuring bankable opportunities for investors. Through strong governance, commercial discipline, and innovative investment platform, we are turning public assets into competitive, efficient, and investable business while actively crowding in private capital. And we deliver by ensuring that these efforts translate into tangible outcomes, sustainable returns, strong institutions, and long-term value for the economy. Our ambition is to build globally competitive enterprises and position Ethiopia as a credible, scalable investment destination. At its core, Ethiopian Investment Holdings serves as a bridge between national priorities and global capital. We de-risk opportunities, structure partnerships, and create pathways for investment at scale. In this sense, we are not only participating in Ethiopia's transformation, we are actively enabling it. These discussions that to follow will explore how sovereign wealth, strategic assets, and private capital can come together to accelerate this transformation. The opportunities are real, the sectors are evolving, and the foundations of growth are firmly in place. We invite you to engage actively in this conversation, and more importantly, to engage with us beyond this room as partners in Ethiopia's growth journey. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brook Taye, for that insightful, strategic, and highly inspiring presentation. Thank you very much. Now, Your Excellencies, before we proceed, we would like to once again acknowledge all of our distinguished leaders who have joined us for this very meaningful discussion. We're joined by His Excellency Chen Hai, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China, and we also warmly welcome the well-represented Chinese delegation with us, His Excellency Dr. Zelleka Temesgen, Commissioner of the Ethiopian Investment Commission, also joined us now, and warm welcome to our distinguished leaders. And now, to guide this powerful conversation, to draw out the deepest insights and to connect the fund's vision with real-world opportunities, it is my great pleasure to introduce our moderator who will now take the floor, Mr. Henok Asafa, the founder and CEO of Precise Consult. Henok Asafa is the founder and CEO of Precise Consult, Ethiopia's leading indigenous management consulting firm. He's also a co-founder and a general partner at African Renaissance Ventures. It's a venture capital firm investing in innovative startups across East Africa. Henok serves on the boards of the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, EMATA, and the African Climate Foundation. Let's give him a warm welcome. Welcome, Henok. And now we'll also introduce our esteemed panelists.
Yes, joining Henok on the stage will be our esteemed panelists who will include Jürgen Evjen, who's the CEO of Akobo Minerals AB, a Scandinavian-based gold mining company developing one of Ethiopia's most advanced gold projects. He has broad experience in mine development, project financing, and governance, with a strong focus on responsible and sustainable resource development. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to Jürgen Evjen, sorry.
Our next esteemed panelist is Kalkidan Aragga, the CEO of Topan Security Ethiopia Share Company, a joint venture specializing in advanced security printing and identity solutions. Prior to this role, she served as portfolio director for the manufacturing sector at Ethiopian Investment Holdings, and she's currently leading major national projects, including the rollout of Ethiopia's electronic passport and the establishment of a high-tech security printing facility. Under her leadership, the company aims to position Ethiopia as a regional hub for secure document production and digital identity innovation in Africa. What an esteemed career. Please warmly welcome Kalkidan Aragga. Welcome.
And last but not least is Meleket Sahalu. Meleket Sahalu is the Deputy CEO of Ethiopian Investment Holdings, the strategic investment arm of the government of Ethiopia. Prior to this position, she worked as a portfolio manager at Ethiopian Investment Holdings, policy advisor in the Prime Minister's office, and as the director of research and analysis and planning and policy at the Ethiopian Science and Technology Information Center. She has a master's science in development economics from the Addis Ababa University, a master's degree in techno-entrepreneurship based in ICT convergence, and a degree in economics from Addis Ababa University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Meleket Sahalu to join these esteemed panelists.
And now, Mr. Henok Asafa, the floor is now yours.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. I think we need some energy for this. Huh? Okay. Sure. Oh, apologies. We have one more panelist. Not the last one, but actually the best one. Mr. Mark from Tianjin, please come and join us on the stage. Thank you. We apologize for that oversight. So you heard His Excellency Dr. Brook, actually, I should say, Excellencies, ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, private sector representatives, all protocols observed. As Dr. Brook has already explained what the EIH does, we will go now to what EIH actually means. Okay, so the main question we have here is a very practical one. What does it take to move an investment from just an idea and a conception into reality within the Ethiopian context? EIH is the largest sovereign wealth fund on the continent at the moment, but as has already been said, it's not established just to manage funds. It has a specific role in the process of partnering with significant investors to originate opportunities, structuring investments, in mobilizing capital, and supporting the implementation. So we all know this as a theory. What I hope we'll do now is to hear from businesses who have partnered with EIH to learn more about what exactly does that mean, okay? We have representatives, as you heard, from projects in manufacturing, chemicals, and mining. And the objective now is how to understand how these investments are actually structured, how the real and perceived risks in each of those businesses are understood and shared, and how challenges have been faced and overcome in partnership with the EIH, okay? So at the end of the session, I hope you will have a clearer picture of how the EIH works in practice and how the experience of the other partners here will help shape your potential investments in the country. Does that sound right? I'm hoping a participatory event today. Does that sound okay? Okay, so I'm going to start with Mr. Jorgen. Mr. Jorgen, so it is a good time to be in mining these days, but generally mining is typically high risk and high capital, right? I want to know if you could tell us, how did the partnership with EIH influence your ability to start an operation here? Let me give you mine.
Well, thank you, Hamak. And thank you all for having me here today. I'm proud to be here representing Akobo Minerals. I'm the CEO. We've been working here for the last 15 years, building our small boutique mine. We have now reached the stage of producing gold and soon more. So just the background, of course, I'm from, that's not of course, but I'm from Norway. We do have a sovereign fund in Norway too. So I must say I'm very happy to see the development of the sovereign fund here in Ethiopia, based upon natural resources like ourselves. There's a huge opportunity to build upon that and to continue developing the sovereign fund based upon natural resources here in Ethiopia. So that was the start, I would say, probably 2.5 years ago, when I reached out to EIH to say, well, there's so much happening these days with the economic reforms, with the stock exchange. Let's see if we can add another aspect to that by introducing the first new international investment ever out of Ethiopia, I believe, and also the first new national investment out of EIH. And after a couple of years, back and forth, we ended up with welcoming EIH as a shareholder into our listed company in Norway. Huge milestone, not only for us, but I believe also for EIH, first international investment into a listed company. And it all fits well with what's happening here on the ground with the development of the stock exchange and getting exposure to that part. So that's where it all started. And what did that do for us as a company? Well, we raised money from EIH that went into developing our mining asset here in Ethiopia. We're developing a new vertical shaft, expanding our mine deeper down. And the investment from EIH enabled us to continue that work and get that fully funded so that we can increase our production by 5 to 10 times, which will happen by the end of this year. So that was an enabler for us, getting a strong partner in to execute on something that was important. There's a lot more to say about it, of course, depending on if you have more questions or you want me to talk. I'll be happy to talk.
No, I did have more questions. 5 to 10 times is pretty good. I was going to ask if you could tell others in the audience why partner with the EIH, but it looks like you're already answering those. If you have any more pointers, please go ahead.
So partnering with the EIH beyond, of course, the pure capital is to me important. Mining is difficult. Mining is a long-term game. You will have ups and downs, knowing that you have a long-term partner there with you for the future. Akobo Minerals will probably be here the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, developing into a big Ethiopian mining player. And it only makes sense to have a good partner like EIH on board on that journey. What else does it do for us? Well, mining has to do with credibility. There are so many opportunistic people out there who think that mining can just be flipped around. It's quick money, but it's not. It's hard work for many, many years. You need to work with the good partners out there. That's been the philosophy of Akobo for years. You have to find the good partners that will support you, that will be there for the future when things are difficult, because it will be difficult. And I think that credibility comes along with partnering with the EIH. And of course, it gives comfort to existing shareholders, to new shareholders, raising new funds, seeing that the Ethiopian government, through EIH, is willing to invest in their own asset, in their own industry, mining being one of, I guess, the 5 or 3 key pillars in the economic plan here for the next 10 years. So it makes sense to take part in it. And of course, there's a commercial side to it. Like all shareholders, they would like to make money on their investment, and that's what we're working for also. So there is not just the royalties side, the tax side. There is also equity in place where we assume that will also be a positive development over the years.
Excellent. So a rapid fire, quick question. What's one misconception foreign investors have about Ethiopia?
So there are different misconceptions, and I think it's based upon, since I've been working with this for 15 years here, I've seen the development over the last few years. The first 10 years, I can say, was pretty difficult, but you can't really compare the current situation anymore to what it was like just 1 year ago or 6 months ago, or, you know, it's developing so rapidly. And we're ticking all the boxes these days on what's been promised by the government and the National Bank that will allow us to expand, that will allow us to attract more partners and new funding. So the misconception is, you know, the history is there, but you have to really look at what's happening here today. Completely different. There's a misconception that Ethiopia is difficult. It's not a place where you can build a mine. And I get the question quite often, it must be difficult to build a mine in Ethiopia, coming from Norway. Well, you can try to build a mine in Norway, and you'll see how difficult that is. It's impossible. So, you know, you have to work with what you have. It's about the team you have, the experience you have, and you can't give up. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and that's what you have to be prepared for.
Thank you, Jürgen. Let me move in a different direction now. Kalkidan, welcome. So Topan Security is very different business, sensitive business in many ways. So can you introduce to us the company and how it came about, and the relationship and partnership with the EIH that make this happen? So just walk us through the process until today.
Thank you, Heno. Can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. So I'd like to start off by introducing the company. Topan Security Ethiopia is a shared company between Ethiopian Investment Holdings and Topan Security. EIH holds 49% of the company, and Topan Security owns 51%. We are, EIH is the national printer Brahane Salam, which has been around for over 100 years doing a tremendous job. But we still saw that there was a gap within the security printing sector, meaning passports, ID cards. So for the past many years, we've been importing passports from a company in France. So we knew that we needed to localize this for several different reasons. I'm saying we because I used to be a prior EIH employee and I had the privilege of working on this investment with the rest of the team. So I hope I don't confuse you when I say we. I always consider myself EIH still. So many different reasons why we had to localize this. Number one being our sovereignty. We had to make sure that we were keeping our data security safe within our country. We needed to make sure that we built this capacity in country because of efficiency and availability. We have a very high population with a very high passport demand. And then we also wanted to save our forex. Not only did we want to stop the imports, but we also wanted to export. Hence why we want to be the security printing hub of Africa. So the factory we are actually building in Borilammi is one of its kind. And we're privileged enough to have Ethiopian Airlines, so we'll be exporting to our neighboring countries and way beyond that. So EIH's role when we started this investment was first finding a global partner that made sense. So EIH went out, started looking at different competitors within the sector, leading companies that we can work with. And we found Topan, which is a Japanese company. This was the global partner we selected for several different reasons. Number one, it's a world-class Japanese company that brings the expertise, the knowledge, and the technology transfer along with the global standards. And they also moved at the pace that EIH wanted them to move because EIH does move fast to close these investments. Second was structuring the investment and executing it till the end. This was all the role of EIH to make sure that we actually created this and the investment actually hit the ground. The biggest value proposition that EIH played on this investment is they had to secure an offtake agreement so that the investment actually made sense. So this was something that EIH took the role. They got the offtake agreement with Immigration and Citizenship Services. They were able to secure a 15-year contract with a minimum annual order quantity of around 4 million, which was a huge task for EIH, but we accomplished very well. Furthermore, they play the coordination between the key institutions that we have to work with once this joint venture is established. AIC, which worked very, very hard in giving us our permits and adhering to our investment incentives. We have IPDC, which is also another subsidiary under EIH. That's where our factory is currently being built. So securing the land, ensuring that the infrastructure is already laid, and also that we are using the one-stop shop services that makes everything very efficient. Customs Commission, we have a very import-heavy industry, or our company is very import-heavy for several different reasons, which I'll cover probably when we get to implementation. So it was very important for us to work very closely with customs, and obviously EIH works in coordinating that for us as well. And then one of the biggest things that EIH had to do when they were structuring and executing the investment is making sure that we have the financial facilities that we need by working with the National Bank to make sure that the Franco Valuta, suppliers credit, and all of these things are in place so that when the joint venture is actually established, all of these facilities are already in place for us to start utilizing. And Minister of Finance, that also plays a huge role when approving our customs duty taxes and things like that.
Thank you, very interesting. It looks like the partnership was all across the board. That off-taker agreement didn't hurt. It's a very nice one. But in terms of a challenge, can we pick on a specific challenge that you overcame together to make this a reality?
So we have very, very strict timelines. We have a very strict boss that keeps a close eye on us. Like you said, Dr. Brook said earlier, we no longer buy passports, so we want to make sure that we're running on the ground and our factory is operational as quickly as possible. So like I said earlier, we have a lot of imports that we do, like a lot. We have our machinery that's coming in. For our immigration projects, we have to import many hardware to deploy in their different sites. And because of the nature of the factory that we're building, most of our construction materials is imported due to the security aspect of the project. So heavy imports. Naturally, this creates pressures around logistics, shipment, customs clearance, and different entities working together. So anytime we face issues when it comes to shipping, it didn't hurt us that one of the subsidiary companies under EIH is also Ethiopian Shipping Lines. So they do understand the urgency, and EIH definitely plays a role in making sure that our shipments are coordinated so that we can actually meet our very stringent schedules. Another one that we had is Forex, which we have to take into consideration. Along with many imports comes many international payments that we have to make. So carefully planning and structuring the financial facilities ahead of time during the investment execution period really helped us, because that's when we can actually tap into that Franco Valuta, the supplier's credit, and Forex allocations with the banks, so that we make sure that our international payments are actually handled on time. Another example that I can possibly give, which is also an important one, is coordination between the different key institutions that I mentioned earlier. This is very important because all of these institutions have to work in sync. Any slight delay can have a risk on the bigger implementation. So EIH as a shareholder, especially when we can't overcome some bottlenecks, definitely intervenes and helps us overcome those challenges that we have.
Fantastic. I don't know. It looks like you're going to have a long line after this conference. After this panel, looks like you have a magic key here at the EIH. Looks like all the problems, all the challenges that have been listed are significant and really make structural difference in how one can set up an investment and realize returns within an emerging market context. So it's really quite interesting. Let me move to the other side now. Mr. Mark, you run a company, Tanjin Bohai Chemical Company.
Yeah.
And you have moved from being a supplier into actually a producer in partnership with the EIH. I want to know, can you tell us that story, how you decided to move into this business, and how your journey has been?
Actually, my name is Mr. Han, but I have a lot of Ethiopian friends. I was known as Mr. Mark among them, to make it easy.
It's a lot easier to say. We apologize for not trying the real name.
Yeah. Actually, my story is a little different from the another two panelists. I work for Tianjin Bohai Chemical, industry group company. This is one of the Chinese top 500 company. And we have 23 years of collaboration experience with one of EIH subsidiary. It is a very good experience because during the process we found that that subsidiary is very reliable, trustworthy, and our cooperation has been very successful. So this is why we decided to move on one step forward together with EIH. And currently, we are discussing with EIH on one chemical project, and another chemical project on basic chemical production is also being initiated. If everything moves very smooth, I believe an agreement will be concluded, executed shortly after this meeting. So we are very confident to work together with EIH.
Thank you. So we have potential investors in the audience, maybe some sitting on the fence, maybe some visiting Ethiopia for the first time. What would you say, why should they look into partnering with the EIH from your point of view and experience?
Oh, I can, from my point of view, because Tianjin Bohai Company is a fully state-owned company. So EIH is also a fully state-owned company. So both are state-owned. So generally, I think we have a lot of a common language. This is one thing. To be specific, I think although I have been working together with, working in Ethiopia for 23 years or longer, but still we have to admit there is differences. For example, in terms of culture, and also in, more importantly, in our governance, and also in legal system. We have to admit that there is a lot of things that we are short of knowledge. We have to get assistance, support in terms of that. Actually, during the past 2 or 3 years, I get a lot of help and support from different Ethiopian government organizations. For example, the embassy, and also the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Mining, Ministry of Industry, MOTI, a lot of things, especially in particular EIC. They are helping us a lot, give us a lot of guidance, but I don't think they are able to babysitting us in the investment. So it's time to partnership with EIH, so that by this way we can get support from EIH. At the same time, we can utilize their resources. I think this is a good approach from our own point of view.
Thank you. So we also have someone here from the EIH, the Deputy CEO, Ms. Malakat. Malik. So it looks like I'm not doing so good with names today. So Malik, beyond being a state-owned holding company, as we've heard, the AIH is functioning as a strategic investment arm. We hear about all the partnerships and all the support that these investments are receiving. I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to know what your, obviously you can't work with everybody. So, you know, people are going to want to know what is the process for the EIH? How do you select and partner with potential investors? What are the key steps? Really, if you could just illuminate that.
So thank you very much, Henok. By the way, it's the first time that we're sitting with our partners on a platform. So this is definitely a success for us. It shows progress, movements on the ground. So maybe in terms of process, let me begin with how we process an idea. So whenever we receive an idea, whether it's incoming or an outgoing investment idea, we first do a high-level strategic consideration. This is just to check if the idea aligns with the National Development Plan, if it aligns with the strategic priorities of the government, and if it can actually address a reform agenda such as structural transformation, industrialization, all the criteria of the reform. So that's the strategic consideration. The second is an investment consideration. Here, of course, we might have a strategic alignment with the National Development Plan, but we want to make sure that we are also solving a binding constraint. But at the same time, it has to be an investment, it has to be a problem that we can solve with an investment. The third is institutional consideration, EIH level consideration. It means that we want to make sure that we have the right expertise, we have the right competitive advantage. We just check if it's something our existing subsidiaries already has an experience over, or if it's something we can actually deliver impact on. The final is commercial viability. That's the whole point of establishing a holding company, instilling a commercial discipline, so that we actually are structuring investment with a commercial sense. That's in terms of weighting the idea. But once we have the right partner, the second stage is looking for the right partner. Once we have the right partner, the third step is structuring the business, jointly structuring the business. So in that case, one of the critical value proposition we offer is that we have a market information. It's not when we're building a financial model, the assumptions are not really theoretical assumptions. We do have subsidiary companies operating literally across all sectors of the economy. So we want to make sure that we are mirroring the reality on the ground. This goes in hand with the, various facilitation liaising with government offices. Even though we usually have a minority shareholding in most of our subsidiaries, we also provide an aftercare service. I'm sure Al can speak of the various LDC facilitations we've provided with custom clearance. So it's a support across the investment cycle, across the project life cycle. So this is briefly what we do.
I'm sure there will be some questions from the audience. I'm going to come to you, so I advise you begin thinking about your questions. Malik, so you're right. I think up to now, we were all talking about what the EIH could do. Now we're talking about what EIH has done. So the question, the natural question then becomes, what have you learned from this partnership with these companies, these organizations? And what is the lesson that you're taking up to scale up so that, maybe it's the Norwegian Investment Fund or PIF or CIC. What is the EIH going to do to partner with such institutional capital and help it come into Ethiopia?
Okay, maybe in terms of learning, my boss is here, so I'll start from the positives. So the first critical learning is understanding that the holding company model is intact and valid. And we've learned that the best way to carry out your investment promotion activity is by actually improving the performance of your existing subsidiary companies. That is definitely the best way to do your investment promotion. The second is the most effective investment pitch has been for us is because the fact that we have a skin in the game. We don't just facilitate investment. We don't just do a bit of hand-holding, but we also put our money where our mouth is by actually injecting cash into the project. I think Jürgen can actually speak of the advantages and the opportunities provided from EIH in terms of the cash injection. And the third critical learning is our understanding of risk. I think generally when you're in the business of investment promotion, you tend to take a modest approach of communicating risk. But we have learned that being honest about the risk and laying out all, not undermining any risk, but coming up a more creative, innovative solution towards addressing risk is the best way forward. And third, we're very much happy to have influenced policy. When we were executing the share purchase for Akobo, it's actually the first of its kind. National Bank of Ethiopia has to draft a directive. So this has been the excellent merits of our journey. And in terms of the caveats, the first is I think we need a new system to redefine our understanding of a hard asset, particularly land. In our first years of establishment, we were hoping to monetize our land asset by actually hoping that investors would actually attach value to our land asset, but that has created a bit of tension, and we're still navigating that path. The second is the free carry shareholding structure. It's always attractive to hear the whole concept of being provided a free carry share, but sometimes cheap and free are more expensive. You end up assuming a list of responsibilities you can't really deliver. The third is, for us as an institutional investor, headhunting is more appropriate in terms of investment outreach. It's always good to deal with investors that actually can speak your own language, that understands impact, size, and who are long-term partners. So thank you very much.
It's very interesting, really. I'm learning a lot as well. Let me go to the audience. Are there any questions? Yes, His Excellency. Microphone up front, please. And then let me see more hands. Okay. Number 2. Huh?
Thank you so much. I'm Ambassador Dawano from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm now working as a Director General for Asia and Middle East. But I want to talk about the Tianjin biochemical company. I mean, this company, when I was in China, I was in China for 4 years as Deputy Ambassador. And that time, our missions are, working in recruiting investment. And when I was there, I was in charge of investment and trade. And then we were reaching. Tianjin is a city, in fact, around 135 something kilometers from Beijing. Yeah, Mark is a very good friend, so I was reaching some of the company. And one of the company I have visited is this company. And this company is producing chemical for a long time, by the way. I was told the company has around 100 years of history being involved in producing chemical, and one of the best company in China. And they were comfortable, in exporting and trading with chemicals to Ethiopia. And when I approached them, I meet the chairman of the company and asked them, why only trading? Why don't you go for manufacturing chemicals in Ethiopia? That was my question, and that's why I visited them to convince them to come to Ethiopia and establish their factory. And they told me, okay, we are exporting. Let's think of whether we will go to Ethiopia to start manufacturing. And then I have visited them 2 times. And then finally, more or less, they were convinced, and they visited Ethiopia. This was before 2 years ago, by the way. Then I think, Mark, since you came to Ethiopia around more than 1 year, something like that, then they opened office here, and they start working. And I think 4 months ago, the chairman was also here. Is that Mark? Was also here talking to our people today. Now 2-3 months since I'm detached with Mark, and I have a continuous communication with them that I'm eager. I was told in Ethiopia we don't have chemical factories. It's really, I'm so sad. Why that? And I was exploring and asking, look, how chemical is extremely essential for a country. You can't do anything without chemical. Look, the cleaning, whatever, the detergent, whatever. It's extremely important factory, but we don't have. So how extremely important this company is. And I want to appeal to the leaders of investment holding. I'm a witness of this company. This company is extremely important and very trustful, has very good capacity. It took me half a day to finish visiting the company. And I assure you this is extremely important company for Ethiopia. And I thought my thinking this time is more than a year for Mark being here. Today, I was waiting, a kind of inauguration and giving a testimony of witness that they succeed in Ethiopia. So I really push investment holding to speed up and give special attention and assign someone to assist them and go for establishing manufacturing. They seems a little bit comfortable in exporting. That's okay, but let them move forward.
That's
what I
fantastic,
want
Ambassador.
to say.
We really appreciate your role in bringing Tianjin to Ethiopia. We're really grateful for that. I'm sure EIH is as well. Let me proceed. I think we are behind schedule, so I want to try to give back a few minutes before we finalize. I see the MCs winking at me, but thank you. The lady over there, please, just like His Excellency, introduce yourself, where you come from, and try to ask the question in a minute or so. Microphone over there, please. And then who's my next one?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Opsitu Sufyan. I'm from UNDP Ethiopia. So we've seen how Ethiopia is beginning to demonstrate credible investment entry points through strategic cases, such as EIH's partnership in establishing Topan Security, which really demonstrates to self-sufficiency and security and is very commendable. My question is, however, these appear to rely on significant institutional facilitation and structuring. So my question is, how is EIH positioning itself, not only as a co-investor, but as market-shaping institution that can systematically reduce risk frictions? So in other words, for maybe investments that are less complex, for lack of better term, than Topan Gravity, how does EIH aim to facilitate it? And I would love to also hear the perspective of the experience of what can become standardized from what Topan and Okobo Minerals have learned. What can other investors learn here, other than obviously EIH's support, which was very well demonstrated from customs and others? Thank you.
Thank you, Opsitu. You came very prepared. I saw hands over here. Nasreen, please go for it. Again, introduce yourself, where you come from, and be brief.
Good afternoon. My name is Nasreen. I'm the founder and managing director of ACE Advisors. My question is aimed for EIH. So Dr. Brook has walked us through the strategies, the opportunities of what EIH sees in Ethiopia. So my question to you is, we have looked at other countries, sovereign wealths, where they work, collaborate mostly with large and foreign companies. So what's EIH's intentionality in working or prioritizing local companies in Ethiopia?
Local companies. Okay, I could take one or two more questions before we close it, because we want to move forward. Okay, none? Should we start with you, Alkida? You want to start, or answers? Please go ahead.
Okay, to answer Obi's question, I think one of the main things that I personally have had to go through with my team is we have to adhere and comply to different regulations and different institutions' administrative processes. Unfortunately, sometimes when we pass one approval, another one has to approve, and then one step cannot be approved until the other one is approved. But regardless, to be honest, as a startup, we do face a lot of challenges. We have to plan accordingly to make sure we meet our schedules. Those institutional compliances that we have to meet are definitely something that we have to plan ahead for, so we try to do that. I do like to see a one-stop shop where everything is standardized and done at one stop, but obviously that might not happen due to every administrative process having to happen in different institutions. But to be honest, over the past few years, especially over the last couple of years since we started implementing, you do see that all of these institutions are really trying to create an investment-friendly ecosystem, and they do understand our priorities and our schedules, so they try to not even prioritize, but to operate much more efficiently. So our waiting times to get approvals have not been as painful as they have been. So we definitely do see improvements in how that's going and progressing from our side.
Thank you. Anyone wants to go? Yeah.
Well, I just want to start by clarifying that EIH is an institutional de-risking institution, meaning that scale is very much critical for EIH, because the whole point of creating a holding company model is to make sure that that model can coexist with the private sector. So it is very much critical that there is an understanding. I don't know, I don't want to be misunderstood, but EIH should be a privilege for a strategic, long-term institutional investors that can actually move the needle. If EIH is now reducing its scale and engaging into various small scale and medium scale, as well as in less sophisticated sectors, we don't want to confuse our role in the market. We always try to stay focused in areas where we can have impact, scale, and a spillover impact. But this does not mean that we don't have various instruments and package to work with small scale, medium scale, and less sophisticated industries. Very recently, with the establishment of the capital market, we are setting up various funds to reach startups, small scale investors. Our initiative with African Development Bank with the YIB initiative is expected to address that. Our initiative with UNDP also follows that path. So the greenfield, the brownfield strategic investments should be impactful, sizable, as well as a mechanism to attract sizable strategic foreign investors. But again, this does not mean that we don't have a room to work with local private companies, but we have a list of parameters we would like to consider because we want to have a clear space in the market. We want to have an enabling role. We want to contribute to improving the ecosystem, but it should be understood that EIH is a privilege for large-scale, impactful strategic investors with a mechanism and a room to work with the small-scale and medium-scale investors. So thank you.
Well, I think there was a question there, what it's like to be an investor besides EIH or working here. Was that correct? Well, how to standardize. And well, I think talking out of experience from the last 15 years here, it's difficult to standardize everything. You have to take what comes every day. We've been through all the ups and downs you can imagine. So, you know, standardized, I guess, begins with your mindset here, thinking long term. And again, going back to what I said earlier, you have to find the right partners, the right people, build a structure. You have to be local. We have 2 people as a listed company outside of Ethiopia. Everything else is here. So it's a matter of doing it right, is what I call it. And if you do it right, it's possible. And the framework is there. You have to work within it and work with it. And having good partners, you can manage that.
Mr. Mark, anything to add?
Not this time.
Okay. No, it's a fantastic panel. As you can see, they know what they're talking about, so they don't have to spend 10 minutes explaining each point. So it looks like we have done you a favor and moved the agenda a little bit further. But just in conclusion, I think it's very clear. EIH, despite being the largest sovereign wealth fund on the continent, is not just an investment partner in terms of money, but it helps with many other challenges typically faced in developing emerging markets. And I think that's not theory anymore. That's the main point. And we've heard from the horse's mouth here on stage from those leaders of companies that have partnered with the EIH and have begun to be very successful. The second point I'd make is that it's clear also this is not an isolated incident. There is a rhythm and a rhyme to it. So it's not that this is something that will happen today and not happen tomorrow. This is a systemic move from the government that is going to help crowd in investment. So there's only one conclusion for me to make. If you have what it takes, you should partner with EIH. If you have what it takes. One more round of applause for this fantastic panel. And thank you, EIH, for the work that you do on a day-to-day basis on behalf of our country. And thank you for inviting me. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Please, a big round of applause to Henok Asefa, CEO and founder of First Consult, for wonderfully moderating this session, especially for being time conscious, as we have been really pressed for time this afternoon. Thank you so very much. What a wonderful session on EIH and the companies that are aligning with it. The message is clear: diversify, drive, and deliver. Thank you so very much. But could we have them back again, please, for a photo, a memorial, commemorative photo here? Please, Henok, bring your team back to the stage for a group photo. Thank you. And Mr. Mark, where you disappear? Yes, Mark. Your Excellency,